What's good, y'all, man? Today we're going to be reacting to what Brian Kelly said about the strength of the win over South Carolina. A really good game between two good SEC opponents. Via quote, he says, "We beat South Carolina on the road in a sold-out stadium in the SEC against a team that beat the pants off of Kentucky, who played Georgia right to the end. So if we want to do that game, I guess we're going to beat Georgia by a lot if that's how you guys want to play this thing." So I do agree with him that South Carolina was a very notable win, regardless of what people says. I know they were unranked, but again, in that atmosphere, how electric it was, how they able to battle through adversity and be able to come on top, I think speaks volumes to their program. And they've already been tested and battle tested early. And like I said, LSU this year has been one of kind of my sleepers in the SEC. Like you play USC, a really great game with Miller Moss that came down to the end. If you make a couple more plays, you come out on top. Likely right now you're undefeated, but you can't tell me that they have not played a tough schedule so far and they haven't come out on top. First off, let's talk about the game just a little bit. So in this one, man, Raheem Sanders was balling out, man. Like I said, they had an early lead in the game. They ended up scoring 16 in the second quarter. I think it was like 14-0. LSU was struggling mightily. Like, I think if they would have had any other quarterback, I think they would have lost this game. But the fact that, Garrett Nussmeier, who we'll talk about more here in a second, was able to calm down and be able to deliver throws, I thought said a lot. But really good game. But what stood out to me is they only passed it 16 times, right? They ran the ball a lot. Sanders had 19 carries. You had Sellers with 10 carries at 88 yards. They really punished LSU on the ground. And the only problem with LSU is they can't really stop nobody. They showed that in the USC game. They showed that again in, obviously, this South Carolina game. So, they're going to have to work on their ground defense. They got to work on some of the key players like Harold Perkins being able to affect the game more, and things like that. They need some dogs defensively to be able to affect the game more because they're giving up way too much yardage. But, overall, good game between those two. And then, like I said, about Nussmeier, like I said, I think if it was any other quarterback, they lose this game because it was so close between both of those teams. And like I said, when he had to make those throws, Nussmeier made the throws. When he had to get in field goal range, he was doing that. He was finding Kyron Lacy. He was finding Anderson for big games, man. And I really like this kid, Lacy, and what he's able to do on the football field, man. I think he's going to be the next great LSU receiver for them because he is ready. He was featured a lot when they played LSU, man. I think he's going to be a stud for them going forward. And Durham had a pretty good game as well. They're going to have to figure out they running back too, because that's a lot. Well, 11 carries is not a lot, but, everybody else didn't have a good game as far as rushing, right? 8.9 yards a carry compared to 3.92 yards as well. They're going to have to figure out their running back two situation. But Nussmeier, I'm telling y'all, man, I'm not going to say he's a Heisman favorite or a finalist or anything like that. I'm not going to go out the limb and say that. What I will say, though, is that he is the right guy for the job. And as Brian Kelly said, man, this is a very notable win. You don't go into South Carolina and beat them, after you struggle early on and you had your turnovers, you took your lumps, you took your chops, and you were able to come back and deliver. So a very notable win. And I'm telling you, LSU is going to pick up another notable win. So SEC, wherever you look at it, I think when you look at the college football playoff in the grand scheme of it, you should at least have about 5, maybe 6 SEC teams. Now, how you judge that is up to you. But all these guys, like, somebody is going to lose. Not everybody's going to win every game. Whether that's Ole Miss, Alabama, Texas, Georgia. Like, you're going to have to discern the power rankings and how many teams you want to let in. Because SEC, we know, is one of the top conferences, or is the top conference in college football. So, these games are electric, man. And you can't punish LSU for beating them 36-33 in a hostile environment. We seen Georgia struggle with Kentucky in a hostile environment. The offense couldn't get it going, but defense kept them in it. So you're going to see them kind of like long, drawn-out games because they know each other so well. They know the tendencies. They know what formations they like to run, the plays they like to do. Like, when you have all that, it makes for a good football, man. And it's really a chess match between the offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, between both coaches. So it just makes for great football, man. So I agree with Brian Kelly. He's 100% right. You got to give them respect for that win and make that a part of their strength of schedule. And I think they're going to have one of the better ones, as far as going forward in NCAA. So we're going to see LSU got another big one coming up. I can't wait to see how they respond.